Hello and welcome to Mini Maths at Virtual School Victoria, where you do a lot of maths thinking in a little bit of time. Today we're looking at different types of fractions we have in our number system. Take a moment to think of the fractions that you know in our number system. We'll start with the proper fraction or common fraction. When you look at these fractions, you'll see in all of them that the top number is smaller than the bottom number. So 2/5 is a proper fraction because our numerator, the top number, is smaller than our denominator. You could also have improper fractions where the top number is larger than the bottom number. And these fractions can also be looked at as division problems. 7 divided by 2 will equal 3.5, but that's a story for another day. Another type of improper fraction is the one where you've got the same number as the numerator and as the denominator, and each of these fractions will always equal 1 because when you've got 5 out of 5, you've got the whole. The ones that keep everybody working very busily are the equivalent fractions. Here is a group of fractions, and there are two sets of equivalent fractions. Can you see what they are? Let's have a look at them. We'll start with a half. Can you see other fractions on the page that are equal to a half? When you look at a half, 1 is exactly half of 2. Let's have a look at 3/6. 3 is exactly half of 6. So that is a half. I wonder where the other half is. Looks like it might be here. 7 is exactly half of 14. So if you're looking at the proportion between 7 and 14, 7 is a half of 14, it will equal a half. Now this leaves us with the other fractions, which are the 2/3. And if we follow the pattern, we've got 4/6 and we've got 6/9. So the fractions, when we organise them, along here we have the halves, along here we have the 2/3, and these equivalent fraction families can grow to be very large indeed. For people who like to see that visually, let's pick a colour. I'll do a nice green. Here is our whole thing around here. When I share it evenly in two ways, we have a half. If I want to share it 4 ways, I now have 2/4, which is exactly the same as a half. And we can also have 3/6 in here as well, but we haven't got that today. But the next step is 8ths, and we have 4/8, and it's still a half. So 2/4, 3/6 and 4/8 are all equivalent fractions for a half. And if you're looking carefully, 2 is exactly half of 4, 4 is exactly half of 8, and 3 is exactly half of 6. And of course that pattern can go on forever. And there's another way of looking at that problem. So there go equivalent fractions. Here we have the mixed numbers. The feature of a mixed number is that you've got a whole number together with a proper fraction. And every mixed number can be turned into an improper fraction. I hope all of those are quite correct. The other group of fractions we have are decimals. Decimals are always expressed as hundredths or tenths or thousands or whatever you have. And the way that you can convert any fraction into a decimal is grab your calculator and do this problem. 1 divided by 2. 1 divided by 2, the calculator will show 0.5. The one that's showing there is 7 divided by 10. 7 divided by 10 will give you 0.7. But you could turn fractions like 2/7 or 4/5 into a decimal using that strategy. Now, connected to decimals are percentages. These fractions are always shown out of 100 because percentages means for every 100. Now, the nice thing about fractions, they're all connected to our tables, our division in the number system. So when you know your tables, you're going to have a better chance of learning the fractions. And here's an improper fraction that is changed into a whole number. Here is a division problem. Here is a multiplication problem. They're all connected, and watch for those connections and those patterns. Now, fractions are fun, cool, and interesting. Let's see what you can remember about fraction facts. All right, let's see. We have fractions are equal parts of wholes. Fractions are equal parts of groups. Fractions can be written as common fractions, decimals, or percentages. Fractions can be proper, improper, or equivalent fractions. Fractions, multiplication and division are connected, and that is a good start for learning about fractions. Thank you for learning about the different types of fractions that we have in our number system. Bye.